Dad had way too much to drink. He looked at me and said, "You're an adopted kid. Go to your room. Your real mom is coming to take you." I was just a little kid, and I believed him. Went straight to my room, sat quietly, and cried while waiting for my real mom. A little while later, Dad walked in, wearing Mom's dress, and he said, "I am your real mom. Come on, son, let's go." Another time, Dad came home drunk again. As soon as he stepped inside, he picked up Mom, who was peacefully watching TV, and said, "Daughter, when did you get so heavy?" I was laughing so hard, I collapsed on the floor. That's when Dad mistook me for a dog. He pulled out the leftover bones he'd saved from a restaurant, placed them right in front of me, like I was about to start chewing them any second. Dad had a bit too much to drink. I was lying on the bed, scrolling through my phone, with my legs dangling off the side. He walked into the room, completely drunk, and without even looking, bam! He sat right on my leg. He sat down with such force that my shin bone actually fractured. I was about to scream in pain, but that's when Dad suddenly came to his senses and rushed me to the hospital. I was in the toilet, doing my business peacefully, when Dad barged in again, completely wasted. The smell inside was so horrible that he thought I was cooking some super spicy Chinese dish. Without even checking, he sat down near the toilet, and then, guess what? He grabbed the poop and walked off to feed it to my little brother. My poor brother was so horrified, he ran and hid inside the cupboard. And the entire room, it was filled with nothing but the smell of doom. One time, Dad was so drunk that he stuffed our dog under his shirt and started yelling at the top of his lungs, "I'm pregnant." Then he jumped twice, and the dog fell out. Immediately, Dad dropped to his knees, burst into tears, and sobbed, "My baby's gone. I had a miscarriage." As I bent down to help him up, he slapped me across the face and screamed, "You killed my baby." Another time, he got drunk and wandered out of the house again. So, Mom and I went out looking for him. We finally found him at the corner of our society, holding some random man against a wall, trying to forcefully kiss him. Both of them were completely wasted. I just stood there, frozen like a statue. My dad came home drunk and suddenly started yelling that he was a fairy sent from heaven. Right after that, he actually tried to jump out the window. Thank God I caught him just in time. My dad came home drunk and suddenly started yelling that he was a fairy sent from heaven. Right after that, he actually tried to jump out the window. Thank God I caught him just in time. My dad came home completely drunk, and I went to help him inside. But out of nowhere, he slapped me with his slipper and knocked me to the ground. He shouted, "Where did this giant cockroach come from? I'm going to finish you today." I started crawling away in fear, and he came charging after me, ready to attack. When I finally got tired and sat down to catch my breath, he mistook me for a football and kicked me so hard I flew straight into the bushes. After the kick, he screamed, "What a goal!" like he just won the World Cup. My dad came home completely drunk, and for some weird reason, picked up my little brother and took him outside. Then he literally tossed him into the grass, by the roadside, and came back home alone. My brother followed him all the way back, but as soon as Dad entered the house, he said, "Someone's following me," and slammed the door shut, leaving my poor brother outside. Meanwhile, I was just sitting at the dining table eating noodles. Dad walked past me and said, "Look at you, showing off like a skeleton." Then he turned the music down, grabbed the mic, I sat on the sofa and started making a dangerous cobra dance. And when the song ended, he placed the cobra on my head. I was so terrified I couldn't even move. My dad came home drunk late at night. I was fast asleep in bed, but he was convinced I was just pretending, that I'd been on my phone and faked sleep the moment I heard him. So what does he do? He turns on the light and starts yelling like a maniac, then jumps straight onto my bed. I slowly opened my eyes, and he goes, "Aha! I knew you were faking it." The very next night, Dad came back drunk again, but this time, without a word, he slapped me out of nowhere. Then he pulled $800 out of his pocket, threw it right on my face and said, "Now tell me, how did that real dream feel, huh?" Dad,
Gorilla Tag.
the army saw. Dad was completely drunk. He and Uncle were sitting on the couch, totally lost in the moment. Suddenly, they grabbed each other and started kissing passionately. Mom didn't say a word. She just stood there quietly, filming the whole thing on her phone. After about 3 solid minutes of intense romance, Dad suddenly pulled back and said, "Babe, why do you have a beard? Like, what even?" Later, when Dad came home, he kept staring at me for a while, then said, "Why do you look so weird?" Then he pulled $3 out of his wallet and said, "Go fix your face." Dad was completely drunk. My dad was drunk. He looked at me and said, "I'm going to meet the queen, my lady." Then he picked me up and staggered straight toward the bedroom. He lost his balance and fell hard on the floor, and I toppled right over onto my mom. Startled and scared, she woke up from her sleep. Then my father slapped me across the face and shouted angrily, "Are you some kind of eunuch? Don't you have any manners at all?" Another time, when he was drunk again, he walked into the room and saw me watching TV. He yanked me up roughly and said, "Enough TV, son. Go out and look at the real world now." Then he threw me outside and went back in to make love to his wife. My dad came home drunk, grabbed my doll, hugged her tight, and said, "Hey, cutie, what's your WhatsApp number?" Mom's face turned so red with anger, I thought she might burn the whole house down. And then there was another time. He got so wasted, he slipped and smacked his head hard on the floor. Straight to the hospital we went, and the doctors had to put 7 stitches on his head. That very same night, after we got back home, he held my grandma's wrist, squinted his eyes, all serious, and whispered to me, This is my mother. But yours? I don't think you even have one." I just stood there, completely confused. Was this my dad? Or some tragic poet possessed by cheap liquor? My dad